Hey there! Static methods can be really tempting. They are easy to use and get the job done quickly. But as much as they seem like a shortcut, they come with some serious downsides, especially in a framework like Laravel. I've seen a lot of developers overuse static methods, only to run into headaches later. That's why in this video, I would like to talk about why static methods can cause problems, when you shouldn't use them, and a few cases where they actually make sense. Before we begin, I would like to thank everyone who supports this channel, especially the 2080 subscribers. Your support helps me continue creating straight-to-the-point tutorials. Alright, let's get started. One of Laravel's biggest strengths is how it handles dependency injection. Dependency injection makes your code flexible, testable, and easy to maintain by explicitly stating its dependencies. Static methods completely ignore dependency injection. You can't inject them as dependencies, making testing and swapping out implementations way harder than it should be. Here is an example of a bad approach. Since user repository getUserById is a static call, there is no way to replace user repository with a mock during testing, and that's a problem. Another issue is that static methods create hidden dependencies. Instead of explicitly passing dependencies into a class, they're just there. Let's say you have an order service that logs events using a static method. There is no way to tell that order service depends on logger unless you dig through the code. And here it is. This makes the code harder to read, test, debug, and extend. On the left side, we have a bad approach, where we use logger as a static method. While on the right side, we have the good approach, where we use logger as a dependency by applying dependency injection. Now, the logger dependency is clear. You can see it directly in the constructor. And if you ever need to replace it with a different logger, it's as easy as swapping it out in the constructor. Static methods also mess with the open-close principle, which basically says that your code should be open for extension but closed for modification. Let's say you have an order notification system that always sends an email when an order is completed. This code right here works until you need to add, for example, SMS or push notifications. Now you have to go into order service and modify it, which breaks the open-close principle. This would be a more flexible approach. The notifier interface defines a contract with a single method, and any class implementing this interface must provide its own send method. The SMS notifier and email notifier implement the notifier interface and define how messages will be sent. SMS notifier sends an SMS and email notifier sends an email. Now, the order service class depends on notifier, but it doesn't create an instance of itself. Instead, it receives a notifier instance through its constructor. When calling complete order, it delegates the message sending to the notifier instance. This makes order service flexible because we can inject any notifier implementation. And there's a few takeaways from this. 1. Order service doesn't depend on a specific notifier implementation, which means the code is loosely coupled. 2nd, you can add any notifier types, like push notifier, without modifying order service. And third, the dependencies are easier to mock in unit tests. Another drawback of using static methods is that they don't integrate well with Laravel's service container, making dependency injection and testing more challenging. Now, Laravel's service container is a game changer. It automatically resolves dependencies, making it easy to swap out implementations, apply middleware, and even cache results. Static methods ignore all of that. When you go all in on static methods, you lose a lot of Laravel's strengths, which makes your code less flexible in the long run. Static methods essentially introduced global state, which can lead to unpredictable behavior. Take this example. At first glance, it looks fine. But if config getKey changes, then every single place that calls config helper getValue could break. And tracking down issues like that, it's a nightmare. I'm not saying static methods are always bad. They can be useful in certain cases, like utility and helper classes that don't rely on external dependencies. Laravel's Illuminate support str and carbon classes are great examples. They provide simple, self-contained functionality that doesn't need to be injected into anything. If you are using static methods for things like string manipulation, date handling, and simple self-contained helpers, then you are fine. Just avoid creating static method service classes, repositories, or anything that might need to be swapped out later. Alright, that was it. If you enjoyed this video, consider checking out the other tutorials on this channel. Wishing you a wonderful day, and I look forward to catching you in the next one.